Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this Wreath Christmas card. I shared it on my blog the other day and I was asked if I would do a video to show how I made it, and I'm always very happy to comply with requests like that. As usual, I'm going to change my colour scheme and one or two other little bits and pieces that I'm going to change. So what I'll do is, as I change something from this one, I will bring it back to show you what the differences are. So to start off with, I'm going to start by showing you the card pieces, and this is the main colour change, which is where I've used, I think this one was Garden Green, or was it Wild Wasabi? Not sure. Anyway, I'm going to change the green so that it's soft suede, and I'm also going to change the door hinges and the door handle to soft suede as well. Okay, so I've got a light door on this one and I'll have a dark door. I have made another one with a totally different colour scheme, which I'll show you at the end. Let's leave that there so you can see that. Right, okay. So the card pieces that you're going to be needing, you need a card base in Whisper White, which measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8. That's 21 centimetres by 14.5 centimetres, scored and folded at 10.5 centimetres. You will need 2 pieces of soft suede, which measure 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 10.25 by 14.25 centimetres, and then 2 pieces of Whisper White, which measure 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 10 by 14 centimetres. Then you will need a piece of Whisper White for the wreath, and that's about 3 inches by 3 inches, or 7.5 by 7.5 centimetres, and another piece for the sentiment, and that measures about 2 inches by 3 inches. Might need that a bit longer because that's got to go in the punch, but we'll find out when we get there. But 2 inches by 3 inches is 5 by 7.5 centimetres. Then you will need some scraps for the door handle and the hinges, and then some scrap for the red berries. On this one I've actually used our red glimmer paper. I assume that's showing up on screen, but what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to use real red cardstock, and then I'm going to paint it with Wink of Stella clear glitter pen. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do my actual door, and then I will do the wreath and the sentiment, and then I will do the inside of my card, and then I think after that it's just really putting it all together. Right, so the background stamp, in fact I'm going to do the same as what I did the other day with my last video. I showed you all 4 stamp sets right at the beginning because I felt I'd probably forget as I work my way through. So the 4 stamp sets I'm using for the door, I'm using hardwood. For the wreath I'm using Painted Harvest, and I'll be using those 2 stamps. For the sentiment I'm using Merry Christmas, which is from the 2 box set called Better Together. Can you see that? Yep. And for the little sprig of holly there, I'm using the Christmas Pines, and just that little one. Okay, so they're the 4 stamp sets. So I'm going to start off with the hardwood, and I'm going to move my card out of the way just in case I get a bit clumsy with the ink. Right, so for this one I am going to be using Crumb Cake. and on my card here this is Sahara Sand, and that is the Sahara Sand as well. So I'm going to take a scrap of paper, which way am I going to do this? I like the clean side on the inside, and effectively what I'm doing is I'm going to stamp off, because crumb cake on here is going to be far too dark. Now I normally say I take whichever is the biggest, whether it's the ink pad or the stamp, the biggest one goes at the bottom. So obviously the stamp's a lot bigger here, so I bring the ink pad to the stamp rather. Right. Now I'm just going to bring this over, give it a smooth over, so that's the equivalent of giving it stamping off. Now I'm going to move that over to there, turn this around. I don't have to, I could just work on the opposite side, but I find I work better this way round. And I'm going to put my cardstock on top, making sure that I don't come off the top here and I don't come off the bottom, and to try and get it straight. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this sheet over again, making sure I don't allow that to move. Again, holding it nice and still and giving a press down. Okay. There's my tweezers. There we go. Beautiful. I've got top, bottom, both sides. Right, so I'll move this one out of the way because I'm not going to be needing that again. So I'll just move that down there. I may need this again, I don't know. So let's just fold that in half. I'll leave that there. So the next bit of stamping I'm doing is for the wreath. And these are my two stamps. And for this I'm going to be using Wild Wasabi. Wild Wasabi at the moment is my favourite green. Don't know why, it just seems to be a nice level of green. Right, now which is the top and which is the bottom? Ah, that's it. What I suggest you do with this stamp is play with it on a scrap piece of paper until you're happy, that you can line it up the way you want it to be lined up. This is not a perfect lining up stamp, so you don't have to worry too much about whether it's, well, there isn't a correct, I don't think. And the other thing is whether you want to do both stamps on full colour or if you want to stamp one off or not. On this I stamp these both full colour. Okay, so I just pop that in the middle. Nice press. Stampin' Up do an absolutely brilliant job with their two-step stamps. I mean, look at all of that depth there. Now I could never do, in fact I've missed a little bit there. I could never achieve that by painting, but I'm not going to worry about that because this is going to go on top of it. I can work out which is the right one. Yep. Or did I do it that way? No, I did it that way, didn't I? And I turned it slightly. So this will probably cover it up. If it doesn't, there's going to be a holly berry there. Right, and all I do with this is I get the circle on here over the circle on here. As I say, it isn't perfect, but just put it down where you think it looks okay. Give it a good press, and there you go. Now covered that up. So now, if you don't like fussy cutting, I'm afraid you're not going to like the next bit. So we need to cut this out. I will come back to the rest of the stamping. I'm digressing here really, aren't I? Well, I started, so I'll finish. So you need to cut this out, and again, there is no right or wrong with this, because as you're going round, you'll find some of the branches or twigs or leaves are lighter than the others, which means some are easier to see than others. I think on the first one I probably cut some light branches off or leaves, but it doesn't really matter. As long as it still looks like a Christmas wreath by the time you finished cutting it out, then that's fine. And if you're new to doing cutting like this, it's a lot easier if you move your cardstock rather than your actual scissors. Let's cut that bit off. As soon as your cardstock starts getting in your way, cut it off. Okay, see, I just twist it and twist it. Now the bit that's a little bit more difficult than this is actually cutting the centre out. You could find a circular die, a circle die that you could cut out with, but I don't want to have a regular circle. I want it to be as random as these leaves are. Doesn't really take that long to do this. I will just finish it off, although I do have a completed wreath over there ready to go. Now we're coming up to a few lighter colour leaves here. Get rid of that bit. Right, there we go. Now what I do to cut the centre out, very carefully with my scissors, because these paper snips are really very sharp, I break into the centre and then I just cut out towards the outside in several positions, and then I cut those off. Don't go too close to the edge. Okay, so you've got like that, and then I come back up through this way, and then I can cut around the edge, still leaving a little bit of white. Oops. So there we go, that's the centre done as well, not too difficult. Now with the berries, you can either use your red marker pen and just draw them on, or you can do what I do and that is I've punched a few little red circles out from a scrap of paper. Oops. And I used the cookie cutter builder punch. You can see how much I've been using this. I've worn it away here. This has been absolute brilliant value for money. Okay, so all I did was, this is an offcut that I save when I'm doing my paper cutting. Okay, so there's that one, and then after a while you have to tear these bits off because it just won't go through anymore. Okay, I'm not going to do any more than that. I think you probably need about 12 berries, depends how close you like to put yours. Okay, so let's get rid of that one. And then what I do, I get my silicone mat, let's close those up before I stab myself, and my Tombow. You can use whatever is your favourite adhesive for this. I just find it's less mess like this, and I just pick up one of my berries, dab it in the Tombow, and then dry it off, if you like, by spreading it around. Oops. Okay, so I'm not going to make you sit and watch me do all of this. I've shown you the important bit, and that was doing the how you cut the centre out. So I will come back to this later with those. As I say, I do have one that's completed. In fact, let's put that up there, and I will just mop this off as well. So I will now do the stamping on here, and I was doing one earlier on which I will show you, and I haven't washed these stamps since, and the reason is because I'm going to be painting the actual stamps using my pens. As you get a build up of the colour on here, you get a better image when you stamp it down. So what I do when I'm first painting a stamp, I will paint it, let it dry, go back, paint it again, let it dry, go back and paint it again. Obviously I don't have the luxury of that for videos, so I prepared beforehand. Okay, so that's gone on really beautifully thick. That's real red, and this is my wild wasabi. Another thing about if you paint, when you're painting your stamps like this one's very easy to do. It's more likely to happen on the next one that I'm going to be doing. But if you find you get ink, like if I got green ink on that bit up there, the easy way of sorting it out is by using one of our blender pens. I'll show you that. One of these, just make sure it's clean. Yep. And then all you need to do is take the colour off the bit where it shouldn't be. You just lift it, wipe it off, lift it, wipe it off. Once it's clean, you can go back and put your correct colour on. As I say, it'll be easier on the next stamp. Now when you do this, huff on it and then stamp down. Okay, beautiful. But that's largely because I've had so many layers on it. In fact, I think this is where I should have allowed a bit extra. Oh no, that's okay. So just get that centred. whoops, oh, that was our, what punch was this? Pretty Label punch. That can go over there. Now I thought that looked rather bland on its own, so I used this little stamp, which I think I said was from Christmas Pines, yep, and I painted it as well. Now this is really very, very close. You can see where the berries are to the leaves. So I will make a mistake here, so I can show you. Let's do it correctly first. Right, now can you see how I've got a very little bit of red on the bottom of, which one? The leaf on this side. Right on the tip by the berries. I hope that's showing up. So to remove that, I'll use my blender pen, and then I would just take my pen onto that bit of red on the end of my leaf. As you can see, it comes off onto there. I will do it again just to make sure that I've got all of the red off. Okay, that's better. So I'm happy with that now. So not the end of the world if you get the wrong colour in the wrong place. So let's do the green. Okay, huff on that, and then I'm going to do one in the corner here. Didn't do too well with the green there. Never mind, I've got a finished one over there, so I'm going to be using that. This one won't be wasted because off camera I will go back again because it's a photopolymer stamp. I'll be able to stamp over the top of that again and make the leaves a bit more definite. That looks as if the green's gone on a lot better this time. Okay, let's see what happens with that one. Oh, there you go. That's all right. So that makes it look a little bit more interesting, but I still felt it needed something else. So I took the green pen and the pen end, and I just drew some little stitches, faux stitches. Now you may like this, you may not like this. Your choice, totally. I still take my time when I do this. I know that it is a handmade card, but I like it to look as if it's a card that's been made, that's handmade by an adult rather than a child. Okay, so I carry on around there and then I finish up with something that looks like this, which I think just makes it look finished. The other way that you could make this look more finished than just plain like this is sponging the edges. That would have finished that off nicely. So So that's that one. So now I'm going to stamp here. What did I do? That's right, I did the wreath just in the bottom right hand corner. So let's bring this one back again. Again, no right or wrong, however much of the wreath you'd like to come through. So there's that one. Right, that way. Okay, then I'm just going to turn it slightly, making sure the circles line up. Okay, so I'm going to leave that to dry. And that. Now I need to do my die cutting. If you saw my video where I showed how I store my die cuts, you will know that I use a folder where these all go into, it's like a lever arch type thing, and each set I name them, put their product number, and I also put over here the name of the stamp set that goes with it. But the other thing that I do is on the back I do one die cut of all the dies that are in there, and this had two really good purposes. One, when I was going through looking for something for a door handle, I looked at the back. So as I was going through I found that one, which is what I've used on here. And as I carried on through, I found that one as well, which is the one I'm going to be using today. And that was on many mittens. Sorry, that one was on Christmas stockings. And then as I carried on going through, I saw these. And I thought, absolutely ideal for my hinges. So that's Christmas lamppost. So, filing system you may want to consider for yourself. So I'm going to bring my Big Shot up now. And all I'm going to do is, right, this die here, yes you can see that, that's from the lamppost one. And what I thought was, I'm not going to do it because I'm not that keen on the idea, but if you die cut that little one there, you could just pop it above your, go in there, it's too high, can't get past the dimensionals, but you could pop that as if that's what the wreath is hanging on. My wreath is hanging on something else underneath there, I'm not quite sure what, but it is, so it doesn't need one of these, but you may prefer to use that. Right, I've already die cut one of these because obviously we need two, so let's go for my scraps. As I say, I am trying this different door handle, so let's pop that up there. These are so small, really need to take good care of them. I know what I'm like, I would lose them at a blink of an eyelid. Alright, now I've got my magnetic platform under there. Okay, so that's the door handle on that one. And this is the other hinge. Okay, so that's that. Can't really see it there, can you? There we go. Put it on the dark, the light, you can see it. Right, so let's move this out of the way. I'll bring all the bits back in again. Oops, don't lose that. Right, now I'm going to start putting my card together. So for the inside first, Tombow. You can use fast fuse for this, or tear and tape, whichever is your preferred method. There we go. That's that. So I'll pop that inside the card. So let's put it around this way. So that's the front of my card. No right or wrong way with this wooden door. Let's pop this on the card. Make sure I'm up the right way. Right, so first of all I'm going to do my door hinges, and the way I do that with my scrap piece of paper, I put Tombow on the back, and again you could use whatever adhesive you prefer. But obviously this comes out far too fast. In fact, I should have used the fine tip glue. So what I do before I put this onto my card, I blot it off onto a piece of scrap paper. That would take off as much of the sticky as I need off, but leave enough for me to use. I'm going to pop this one on first. I'm just eyeballing it to see that it's straight, and I'm making the end come so that it looks as if it's joined onto the wooden of the door. Okay, what's that there? Oh, looks like a bit of glue. Right. Put some more Tombow on. Sometimes it's easier just to keep taking the point of your glue back into one of the blobs of glue and then bringing it over to an area where you need it. Right, so I'm going to pick that up and soak up the worst on there. And again, I'm just eyeballing this So it looks about right. Okay, so that's that. And then with the door handle, this would make a great door knocker as well. I thought about it, but I couldn't decide quite where to put it with the wreath up there. I'm using this Tombow very, very gingerly because it's a new bottle, and the new bottles can be quite active. Right, so there's that. Put that about halfway, slightly less than halfway, lower than halfway. Yep, I'm happy with that. Now these are both going to be going on with dimensionals. So this one I am going to use the regular size. Obviously the positioning of the hinges, it's going to mean that the sentiment and the wreath will be coming over the ends of them, although I do try and squeeze this one as far to the side as I can so that it doesn't actually go over it, but I think I lose the battle. Yes, I do, but it's not covered it up too much. Right, now this one, again, nice large dimensionals, and this is quite easy because I just do north, south, east and west. Sort of. That one went, oops, that one went too close to a thin bit, so I moved it round a bit. Now you can choose which way is the top of your wreath. If there's anything you want to cover up, if there's an area that doesn't have too many berries on it, whatever side you think looks best. I think I'm going to do mine there, and then decide whereabouts you want your wreath to be, how high up your door. I think about there. Okay, and the final thing is a bow. This one is actually a retired one. I've run out of the current red ribbon, but it's 1/8 of an inch, just like this. So just tie a little bunny ears bow, tighten it up, pull it nice and small. Cut the tails off. There we go, see I've got a big gap there, so my bow's going right in the middle. And I'm going to use Tombow. Very few things I don't use Tombow for. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just pop it on there, hold it for a few seconds to give it a chance to get a grip. So that is today's project. That's how I made the card that I shared on my blog the other day. Looks quite similar. The oh, I know what I've forgotten to do, but never mind, I can do that off camera. You don't really need to see me do it. And that is, I've forgotten the berries on the inside of my card. I haven't done that. Those were actually drawn, so I might do that on this one. And the other one that I said that I'd show you, I wanted to know what it would be like if I used crumb cake. Would it be too dreary? Would I use that and that still in white, or would I do it in crumb cake? Well, I'll show you what the answer was. up against these two, I think it looks dreary, but I was quite pleased with it. Quite pleased. I think I would choose to do the white one, but I think that looks quite nice, don't you? I've done the Wink of Stella on the berries. I did my stitching around there. Otherwise everything is the same. I put my door handle a bit higher, which I didn't really like, which is why it came down here. In fact, it's quite funny because that colour looks definitely different. Sahara, what are the colours? No, it is right. Soft suede. Did I say soft suede? Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It looks really quite different. Trick of the eyes. So yeah, there you go. That's what it looks like if you do it in crumb cake and Sahara sand. That is Sahara sand all through, which I think possibly I prefer rather than this one. But as always, question of taste. Many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions or any comments you'd like to make, please leave them in the box below, or you can email me at janb@janbcards.com. If you want to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, please click on the link underneath the video, and that will take you to my link for my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop, or if you go and visit my blog, you'll see the link there. All the products that I've used and the sizes and the measurements, again, they will be in the box below the video. And finally, if you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally on Wednesdays and Sundays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I understand now you have to actually click for the notifications when you subscribe, so please don't forget to do that bit, and if you'd like to give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate that too. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.